So I was a wildlife videographer renowned in my town, known for capturing such rare animals as squirrels, cardinals, and the robin, one you probably haven't even heard of. But I have switched over to a different form of wildlife, human wildlife. So I go out into these cities where humans gather and I film them. In today's episode, I took the Canon EF 135mm Tony 2 adapted to the Sony ZVE1 HD 240 frames per second slow-mo street videography stuff. Is 135 the ultimate thing, and can you do it in manual focus while riding a skateboard? Today we find out.
All I want is the perfect camera. All I want is the perfect camera.
If you're curious, we're on the Canon C100 Mark II with the 85mm 1.2. I was going to use the 135 just as to prove a point, same lens, but I've already reviewed that lens. If you haven't seen that video, go click it. So this is a very fun genre for me, just going out into my city and filming interesting people I see. Whenever I see someone in a very interesting outfit or they have some stylized hair, whatever, like they just stand out from the crowd, I'm like, oh, film them. And of course, as a camera nerd, I'm always debating like what's the best focal length for that, because I've done 35mm. It's okay, 35, it has its place. Very wide angle, you're likely to get everything in focus, environmental, cool. Moving up to the Zeiss 55mm 1.8, then you're getting like super, if you ever actually nailed a shot, it's actually hard to frame properly when you're not looking at your subject. But when you do nail it, it's quite magical. And so I've been debating, do I want to go further and further? And 85, what would that be like? And then 135. So I decided just to take this out as a test run to see if I want to buy that Zeiss Batis 135 2.8. It's stabilized, it could be magic. And the first shot I got, this guy's doing a wheelie, showing off. I was like, yeah, right on. I just pressed record to get that. Like, I missed some of it. But the 135 compression, I was like, yeah, that works. If you have a local crackhead and you want to film her with her hula hoop, 135 gives a nice little touch to that moment. This guy was smoking. I was like, okay, I'm going to... No, he's looking at me. Run. That was scary. That was the scariest thing I've ever done. I'm trying to be discreet here to capture people in their natural habitat, being normal, how they would act if there was no camera on. Just, it's very real and emotional, and I know some people probably don't want to be filmed, but to them I say, go home then. You're in my world. Sleep in your attic. Now, usually when I'm doing this, I'm not even looking in their direction. I have autofocus and I'm just pointing it, and I look away to kind of deter them from even thinking that I could be filming them. They're like, okay, the camera might be pointed at me, but he's not looking at me. Clearly he's not filming. Whereas this, I had to look at everyone. And I was just manually focusing, and it was actually quite doable. I was surprised. For the longest time, I was like, I'm focus pulling here on a skateboard with 135 wide open, Tony 2. And like I could see the peaking. I'm like, yep, I'm doing it. I feel a bit weird. Don't look at me. I'm sorry. But we got some of these moments. And I'm like, yeah, that's totally, some of that was in focus. And that was cool. So it's like 135. It's very different. When I'm on like a 35 to 50, I'm quite close to people and I'm just pointing at them hoping. But this is like very more targeted, and you're further away, but they can still very much see you. You're not hiding from anybody. You need like a 1200mm lens to not be seen. But like that, everybody was like looking directly at it. It's like, what? Oh, he's filming? Like, it was very obvious. This was a cool little focus pull to her. Totally intentional. I'm just trying to focus on the blonde in the sunglasses. She had blonde hair. She looked like the Terminator. I was like, okay, this is a cool little moment. And I'm trying to rack focus and hope she's not looking at me. She's probably looking directly right into my soul. But some of that was definitely in focus, and the magic was ours at moments. But I tell you, this outing did not cure my gas for more needs. Like, I kind of like this 135 look, and it's quite spiritual, if anything. it's quite magical. Like, you're not gonna get that on a normal day. It's a little harder to frame your subject, and I feel like you kind of have to look at the screen to judge the framing and the focus, and this woman definitely saw me. She was worried and unsure, but like, that's real emotion right there. Almost sad. This would be much easier with autofocus, but even then, I feel like I'm not going to be able to just point this at somebody and it's going to actually get them in frame at 135. That's going to be hard. So I think it's a stupid thing, but I'm curious. And I kind of want that badass anyway. Even though it's an popless design, it's still Zeiss. It has to have some pop. There's not a Zeiss that doesn't pop. But I love these Canon EF lenses so much, which is why I debate the R5 II, even though it's a sideways step to my Sony ZVE1. That's the hardest part. Like, why would I spend so much money just to have good autofocus performance with my EF lenses, when like a Zeiss lens is just as good? This guy was cool. It was very hard. I was trying to manually focus on him. I'm like, oh God, does he see me? Can he see me? I'm kind of close to him. He had crazy hair and a hat, and I was like, oh, I gotta film him. I got at least a tiny bit. But man, that is not easy. If someone's walking towards you, you're trying to keep them in frame and not die on your skateboard, and then you're focusing on them. She was checking herself out in the mirror. That's what people do. And you capture these moments. Oh, so Fen, she is digging herself, checking it out. How's my bum? How do I look? Pretty good, huh? That's why all the men come to the yard. So it's like, I don't know, it was hard. The stave wasn't good, but if I had sync stave, that's why the baddest could be the ultimate thing. I don't know if it's going to sync or fight the IBIS. That could really suck if it's worse than not having the lens stave. And the worst thing about adapted glass, watch this. I was going and boom, shut down, died. The camera just died on me. It's because of the adapter. Like, it just stopped down something and then turned off. Adapted glass never works properly unless you're Canon EF to RF. That works. But man, as the men discuss where to go next, who will get a date first? Will she notice that he tucks his pants into his socks? And will that be a deal breaker for her? Look at her. She had red hair and all black. That's just an interesting couple right there. Are they into strange satanic rituals? I don't know. But they probably are, and what is that thing they're carrying? Why are they carrying so much? It looks like a slab of cement or something. Where are they taking it? They don't seem like they have jobs. So, like, they can't be working. Are they building something? There's a pigeon. You see the pigeon in the back. You saw that magic. This woman, I was like, okay, really try to focus. She's not looking at you. She's got her phone. I was like, okay, try to manually focus on her. Oh no, she looked up. I panicked. It wasn't, this guy was afraid. He clearly saw me. He's like, no, don't film me. But we got ladies' bodies somehow. That was mistaken, but perfect. We got her for a split second. That was a magical moment, was it not? Didn't last very long, but it's a fun city to do this in. It almost makes me never want to move. Like, I don't like living in Toronto. It's a big city, it's polluted, but if I move to a small town, I'm gonna be that guy. It's like, oh, there he comes again, and people will be waving like, hey, it's Steve. Remember me from the last video? You got me. Look at this. I got new moves. And it's like, there's so many characters in Toronto. People that will kill you at some point. Dangerous people. Like, any style you're looking for, you come to Toronto with a 135, you got the cinema. So part of me wants to get the R5 II, pair it with that, or the 85 that's filming us right now. Unheard of wisdom. Or the cheaper choice would be get the baddest lenses, which aren't my favorite, but they are what they are. They're like budget Zeiss, probably Tamron designed, but there's at least one coating on one element of Zeiss hood. I might do another one of these with just the Pocket 3, because it's the most discreet. And it's sold out everywhere. What the hell's that all about? I promote affiliate sales here, and then, oh, sold out. No sale for you. He's so dangerous. I hate him. So let me know down below what you think the perfect focal length for this is. You're riding a skateboard, you want to film people, you don't want them seeing you, but they have to be in frame and in focus automatically without you looking at your camera. So far, from what I've seen, it's the 35mm, but if you can get the shot in a 135 and even higher, 85 might be the sweet spot. Then the cinemas are yours. Bitcoin donations are mine. From you. By the way. I'll leave. Are you subscribing for more videos on sales?